Star Wars Celebrations is happening this weekend, and by every indication, they're just going to be doubling down on Kathleen Kennedy's feminist, crazy vision, trying to, let's be honest, turn Star Wars from a boys' action-adventure property, that's what it was, to a girls' property. And it just doesn't work, because what happens is the girls just are not interested in this, then the boys aren't interested in it, and there's not enough Zers out there to actually watch your stuff, so the ratings end up a failure. But this is what they're going to continue to keep doing, and they're pushing for it because this is what they want. They care about this strong female Star Wars universe more than they care about actual storytelling, and that's been a problem for a long time. But we are going to cover it the whole way here, so hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things Star Wars and science fiction. And if you're a fan of Star Wars, I really think you're going to enjoy this alternative right here. I wrote a trilogy called The Saga of the Nano Templar. It is about space crusading. It's just pure high-tea action the entire way. You're going to love this. They should have made a trilogy out of this, and probably instead of Rebel Moon, that was a rough one. And if they did, they would be raking in the cash because this is a lot of fun. Check it out, guys. This is why it's been a huge bestseller for me all the way along the way. There's a full trilogy that you can get, of course, in classic Star Wars fashion, which is on Amazon right now. And it's available on ebook, print, and audio for your convenience. Awesome stuff. Check it out in the description below. Support our channel. It's just $4.99 for an ebook. You're going to love it this weekend. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yes, so this is an interesting comment. The strong female Star Wars universe. Let's see. We've had Ahsoka. We've had the Acolyte. We've had Rey. Gosh, yes, we that's what we need. Another strong female lead, right? So this is what the actress says out there. And look, she's a child actress, so of course she's just being told lines for what to say. She spoke with Collider about her new Star Wars clothing line, of course, and she said she feels like it'd be really fun to do a teenage Leia, she says. And then she said, I've said in a few interviews, and some people will be like, no, we don't need it. Yes, we do. We need a less male-centric Star Wars. Oh, gosh. Where have I heard this line before? This has been coming from the top over and over and over again. They brainwash these little girls in this kind of thing. We need more women because we need a strong female Star Wars universe. I love that. I think it could actually be fun. Well, it's not been very fun. And here's what we got going on at Star Wars Celebrations in the process. Really, really sad. Like I said, they brainwash these people into just saying these things over and over and over again as if it's something that needs to be done, that needs to change when it's been this female nonsense for a long time, and that's what's ruined the show. That's what's ruined everything. We got Andor, one of the few non-female Star Wars leads out there, followed by the Ahsoka panel. We got season 2 coming up of a show that really nobody watched the first time and had a lot of problems. It was Wine Ants in Space. Very, very weird sort of setup for what could have been a lot of fun based on the Rebels characters, but ended up not being so much. Then we've got, of course, some Mandalorians and Grogu coming out. They're trying to get that to be part of the bigger part of the franchise, but there's really not a lot to grasp onto or care about there. And yes, this whole thing is really not going as well as they expected it was going to be. They're going to be trying to trot out Hayden Christensen again as Anakin Skywalker for Ahsoka Season 2 to try to get people back, because that's what people want. They want those member berries, and that's the only way they can actually get viewers at this juncture. We know that everything's failed. The Acolyte was a huge disaster. They're, of course, going to bring out some new Starfighter movie, SLOP sort of thing, I guess, and then there's a trilogy being developed also. They've got all these things that they're, quote, developing all the time. I made this comment the other day about the Starfighter book because, we do have a Star Wars Starfighter story that's perfect. It's called Rogue Squadron, X-Wing. If you guys remember these from the extended universe back in the day, Michael A. Stackpole was one of the best writers out there. He was so good. He actually built this. He built these characters that were just, basically on side characters and a couple new ones from, just a few lines of dialogue from the movie, and really made a rich, compelling universe and storyline that were excellent. This was also done in comics with the Rogue Squadron as well, and it was so much fun. Like, why wouldn't you just take this as a blueprint and do this? Now, what they're doing with Star Wars Starfighter is actually setting it after The Last Jedi. So they're actually continuing that timeline as well. And I think they've had a problem with not knowing what to do as well on that level, because when you've got all these shows that are jumping around, you've got one in the High Republic with Acolyte, you've got one right after episode 3 with Obi-Wan. You've got one right before episode 4 with Andor. You've got Mandalorian, which we're kind of unclear when it's set, but it's kind of after Return of the Jedi. And then you've got these things are so all over the map that it's like you can't really follow all of it. It doesn't really like build and coalesce together. And that's the one thing that like where like the Marvel universe has had a lot of problems. Like, of course, at least they've like got everything kind of like structured on the same timeline so that you're not like just confused and jumping around all the point. It's made Star Wars something difficult to follow. And unfortunately for this property, it's a simple property. I hate to tell you, it's good guys, bad guy, super weapon, destroy universe. I mean, it is something that's meant to be very, very simple and meant to be easy to follow, and that's why it garnered such a huge following to begin with. And so when you muddy the waters with like all these different tones and all these different you've got a kids show with skeleton crew, you've got all these, it's what do you even follow? What order do you even watch this stuff in at this juncture? It makes it very difficult. They've messed it up on that level. And it's because of the female incompetency going on, because that all comes from the top. The Kathleen Kennedys, the people who are directing things that are greenlighting the projects, are making it a jumbled mess and making it a disorganized mess because they're not actually creating this like sort of like action adventure heroic thing that just continues forward and plows forward, which is how kind of a man would do the property. And so this is something that they are going to double down on. It's going to be exactly the same. Nothing's going to change. Remember, nobody's gotten fired after any of this stuff. None of these shows except for The Acolyte have been canceled because The Acolyte was just so expensive, I think, that they just like botched it on that level. Otherwise, they'd probably be pushing that one forward as well. And so this Star Wars Celebrations is not going to go the way that they want. So let's look up Star Wars Celebrations, see what's going on. Star Wars Celebration and see some of the reactions before we close out here. So this is where we're at. Cheers to 20 years of Lucasfilm animation here. It's just promo posting from them. Unfinished Clone Wars episode from back in the day shown, which of course this is all nostalgia for old stuff that people used to like, right? They're doing a Darth Maul original series. I think they've really screwed up the Darth Maul character a little too much. Like it's hard to care about it now because he's died and come back, and it's all confusing. Doesn't make any sense. And then holy hell, Rod of the Hutt is a effing unit. Okay. Weird stuff here. And then we've got some lady doing a Nazi salute here, and gosh, she looks interesting there, for sure. Yes, Lucas, Star Wars Girl, talks about the Darth Maul thing, saying, talk about flogging a dead horse, right? Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. This is something that's, again, you miss the mark. These single character shows that take place in different times and etc. aren't what the people. You don't need that at this point. You don't need to flesh every single background character out into its own series. It's like ridiculous. And so that's where things are at this point. And so yeah, there's not a lot of not a lot of people like going out there, and as you can see, none of the top comments are like, hey, I love the idea of like this new Starfighter movie that they announced or any of this stuff. Why is Jar Jar in Vegas and not at Star Wars Celebrations? We've got Filoni has turned Star Wars into an image of himself. Pathetic. Nobody in the top comments here is talking about the new properties that they're coming out with any excitement whatsoever. It's all dead on arrival. And we've got Andor coming out in 2 days? I don't see anybody talking about it. It's because nobody watched it in the first place. Like I said, these fleshed out extra side characters that you need to learn their entire backstories, it's not that interesting. You have to actually make a story that works for itself, and that's where these people are failing every single time. But they want to push it even further, guys. This is another example of just their complete tone deafness, the fact that they don't respect the fans. They don't even want the fans. They call you toxic all the time, right? When they go forward with this stuff, and they want to find a new fan base that's made in their image, and it just doesn't exist out there is what it comes down to. All right, what do you think about these thoughts on Star Wars Celebrations? Are you excited for the Kathleen Kennedy SLOP coming forward? Leave a comment down below. Love to hear from you. I can't imagine going to the theater for Mandalorian and Grogu, or the Starfighter movie, or the new trilogy they've been developing forever, that's been in development hell forever. It just, nothing sounds exciting out of this. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let me know. All right, check out my book, Justified Saga, the Nano Templar. Grab the whole trilogy, guys. You're going to love this. It's in the description below. Thank you for supporting our channel and our artistic efforts here. We're doing what they won't, and we're just going to replace them as it goes forward. Tell your film studio friends that you want this, because it'll be awesome. Thank you very much. We'll be back.